I realize that my everyday carry as it stands right now is the most over the top, unnecessary cost items that you can think of. It's mine, I like it. I'm not changing it for any peasant level reason, but I do believe that the fact that my everyday carry costs nearly $2,000 when you include the bags, the watches, the knives, multi-tools, flashlights, etc., it's kind of disgusting to the point where it almost makes me want to throw up as I walk up to you drinking an Americano. What would I do if I was starting over again? What would I suggest if I'm trying to buy some new gear for everyday carry? What are some things that I actually would use? And for a minimum of things that I actually give away to buddies. I've given them things like CRKT squids and tunas and small multi-tools and all sorts of stuff. Well, I guess this is what I would do if I was starting all over again in everyday carry. All right, so first let's start off with this. My advice for any specific item in everyday carry, doesn't matter what it is. Do not spend more than 2 hours of your pay on that item. I've said it a lot of times. So if you make $25 an hour for a brand new pocket knife, wallet, multi-tool, watch, no more than 2 hours of your pay until you figure out if you're gonna like it. If this is a hobby you wanna do, is this just gonna be crap that you carry? You don't wanna feel like you got freaking tore down, pounded because you spent too much of your hourly pay or your pay overall in that. If you're salary, take your salary divided by 2,000. That's roughly how many workable hours there are in a year, give or take some federal holidays that you may or may not get off. That's your hourly rate. So for this scenario, I just use $25 an hour as the basis. Every item I have here has that goal of staying underneath that 2 hour mark for your pay. The pocket knife. Now there's a lot of different options for this. I'm gonna just go with my #1 recommended banger of a knife. It's any version of the Civivi Elementum. It doesn't matter if it's V1, if it's V2. I have it in several variations. I have an Elementum version 2, version 1. Version 1 is my favorite though. It has that flipper, just a liner lock. You don't have to worry about a button lock and for it to fail or anything like that. This one, you can get them in all different blade shapes. You can get warnies, you can get drop points. I think they maybe even started a clip point. Check the links in the description down below. These things are always easily below $50. The one that I have here is a variant that is in copper. That one costs a little bit more, but you can get it in G10, Jade. I think they may have started making it in micarta. This is a fantastic pocket knife. It does have D2 steel on it, which just kind of break that down in this both bacon, lettuce, and tomatoes. It's gonna be decent with edge retention, but it's gonna mean that you don't have to sharpen it as often as others. So if this is your first time getting into this, you don't own a knife sharpener yet, you want a company that's pretty good about standing behind their warranty. If you get a product that the detent comes, it sucks when you get it or it's not functioning correctly, they stand behind making sure that they take care of you. It has a little lanyard holding the back, so if you do want to do something like put some actual paracord through there or some type of beads or ropes, the stuff that you may see the kids do on TV, I like this. This is an easy recommendation when it comes to a brand new pocket knife for somebody that's out on the streets. Now there you've spent about 50 bucks. Now my second suggestion is if you want a blade that's a little bit bigger, because as much as I like the Civivi Elementum, it's only about 2.9 inches when it comes to the entire blade, even less of that of usable blade for. So if you want something bigger, badder in your pocket, maybe you can hold on to even longer. Listen, the Kubi Nova, Kubi's a slept on company. The Kubi Nova is a fantastic pocket knife. It feels like the Mini Praxis, except it's getting you a guaranteed D2. Some Mini Praxis have D2, some regular Praxis don't. It's very confusing. The Kubi Nova, all of them have D2 steel, all of them have G10 scales. You can reverse the pocket clip, so if you're left-handed, you are gonna be taken care of. The G10 scales themselves feel fine. It doesn't have a lanyard, so if you need that, you might wanna look at the actual Civivi Praxis. This one is very just well built. It feels really good in the hand. I don't know why it feels more durable than the Civivi Praxis. I think maybe it has liners on the inside. I'm not sure. But when it comes to having one of those for a long-term usage, this one is my go-to for that. It has a very long, capable blade, over 3 inches of blade, labeled in D2. They do a good job with this. This is also a flipper, so it's gonna be nice to fidget with for you to use it, work it in when you first get it. And this is a company that a lot of people kind of just poo-poo and frown on. It's a Chinese made knife, just like the Civivi is as well. But it's something that I can definitely depend on, and it's $40. Now, if the price change, check the links in the description, but this thing's normally 40 bucks. All right, so here's my suggestion. If you can swing something that's over $50. I know you guys have a lot of suggestions for the knife around the $50 mark. Comment down below, squid, tuna, something from another company. This is the Remit Rhinoceros. They call this the Remit Rhino. I love this knife. This thing has micarta scales. It's a super budget steel, I think a 14C28N steel. So you're gonna have to sharpen it a little bit more. But when you get this, the detent might be a little rough when you first get it, meaning you have to open this knife. And you know what? I like that because this is a fun knife to open. It does have a thumb stud. It has a front flipper. It has the button lock. It has different ways to deploy this. You can reverse open this. Like, it's just a fun knife to use, to have. The micarta scales start to patina as you actually use it more and get it into your hand more often. It doesn't have a reverse pocket clip. So if you're left-handed, you're SOL. It doesn't have the highest grade of steel. It's not really like something to write home to mom about. This is a knife that you get, you like it, and you just use it. I think that there's other, Remit is one of those companies as well that's kind of slept on Chinese made knives. This is one of my favorite knives to carry. This thing's $55, but there's almost always a coupon. Right now there's a coupon that takes about 10% off that gets this thing to 50 bucks. So if you can swing it, if you can swing, you know, if you make 25 bucks an hour or so and you can swing this, I would, even though this doesn't have, you know, this isn't D2 or anything like that, but I'm still happy with this knife overall. It does have 14C28N steel, as I mentioned earlier, but it just feels durable, especially if you're able to put a strop, if you're honing it in between sharpening it. It just works. And I've been a fan of this for a while. There's been times when I tested this thing out and it easily just feels more comfortable in my pocket than my everyday carry, which right now is the Hogue Deca, which is a fantastic knife. This thing costs literally 1/4 the price of the Hogue Deca. The secondary thing that goes alongside that, that is a flashlight. You don't have to carry a flashlight every day. I'm not carrying a flashlight at this exact moment. I'm kind of just lounging around the house in the man cave. But if I'm gonna be doing a lot of stuff around the house, if I'm gonna be going anywhere, I load up a flashlight. There are certain flashlights that I enjoy carrying a lot, but mine are normally around the $70 mark, $65 mark. And that might not be something that you wanna do if that's over your 2-hour mark for your pay. So one of my faves has to be the Olight i5R EOS. Why do I like the i5R EOS? The R stands for rechargeable. This actually does have a rechargeable battery that's included. This battery itself is a 1420 milliamp hour battery, and it's the exact same size as a AA. So if you're missing your USB-C charger, which most of us wouldn't be because a lot of us have those things laying around, you could always just throw a AA battery in here. You won't get the same lumen output. This is about 350 lumen max output. So if you do decide, if you're in a pinch, you have to throw a AA in this thing, you're not gonna get the max lumens, but at least you're still gonna be able to use the light. It has little washers around the back of the actual flashlight to kind of give it a little bit of weather sealing, which is nice. Has a rear tail switch, deep carry pocket clip, looks good, comes in multiple colors. I have this thing in green, black, blue, orange. Right now the price on this is about $35. If you use this in its working lumen mode or the low lumen mode of 15 lumens, you get about 37 hours off this battery, which is not bad. Now, as much as I love these kind of like flashlights that are very slim and they're cylinder based and all that type of stuff, my number one go-to for a flashlight has to be a flat. I like the flats a lot, and if I could carry a flat all the time, I would. If you can swing it, okay? I know we mentioned the $25 an hour, but one of my favorite flashlights that are flat right now has to be the Manker Light F14. This thing is coming in at $54. Sometimes it has coupons, can knock it down below that $50 mark, but this is a sleeper flashlight that not a lot of people talk about. First off, it has dual beams in this thing. So first you get 1250 lumens when it comes to maximum light output, 268 meters of throw, runtime of over 240 hours. As mentioned, you can get yourself a nice 4,000 Kelvin light for the floodlight, and then it has a spotlight, which is 6,500 lumens. I like spotlights on my flashlight. Floodlights are what you're gonna get with most of these lights. For instance, this Olight here is a floodlight. So It just kind of floods the area similar to your cell phone. Whereas this Maker light is gonna give you a flood and it gives you a spot. So it gives you both in one flashlight. You can also deploy both lights at the same time if you want to. This thing is also a battery bank. So if you are in a pinch, you could actually take your USB-C cable and plug this directly from the bottom of the flashlight into your phone or to another device that needs a little bit. So if you don't care about draining the battery out of your flashlight, who cares? Just use this in an emergency. It's a power bank. This entire bottom is also magnetic. A lot of companies are doing the magnetic bases, Olight, and we also got like Streamlight and Phoenix. It's made of aluminum. It just feels real good in the hand. If I had a choice between these two, the Streamlights that we all like, some of the other Olights, or the Phoenix like the PDs and this, I would take the Maker Light F14. Now, the thing that we think about all the time, that I think about more often than not, is something that can accompany your knife, maybe even be carried instead of your knife one day, is a small multi-tool. I love my multi-tools, but my specific multi-tool costs 150 bucks. But I forgot how much I thoroughly enjoy the Gerber dime, its usefulness, and the fact that it regularly comes in below $30. The Gerber dime is my multi-tool of choice. I love the squirt. I love the power pint. The squirt is discontinued by Leatherman. The power pint is a fantastic multi-tool as well, but I'm a big fan of the dime. I love the fact that it's just very easy to use. It disappears in the pocket. You don't have to use it every day. So if you don't want to carry a multi-tool every day, or you may buy this and discover you hate carrying multi-tools, you've only spent around 30 bucks or less on this thing. You got a little pair of pliers. You need to do a quick adjustment to a boat, maybe adjust a chair at a restaurant, adjust a chair at your buddy's house, fix a toilet seat that's loose. A lot of small uses you can use out of this thing. It also has a pair of scissors, which aren't the best, but it gets the job done. A bottle cap lifter is built in on the very end of it, so you can keep it closed and still use that. All sorts of tools on the very inside, such as small box. You can use it for opening boxes and use it for a straight sharp edge for those type of functionality. All sorts of little tools built into this. And for this amount of money, you can access the tools while the pliers are closed. A lot of times for multi-tools, the biggest complaint why people don't carry them is because to get to the tools, you have to open the multi-tool. You can get to the scissors, that little box opener. Of course, you get the bottle cap lifter. You get all this stuff while the multi-tool is closed. You got a slotted screwdriver that also can be used as a pry bar. So I think this is a super capable multi-tool that you can put in your pocket. Figure out if you even like carrying multi-tools. Now, for me, the wallet is something that I think about all the time. And my current carry when it comes to the wallet is I finally upgraded myself from zipping open my Velcro wallet from when I was a kiddo to a real wallet. But my wallet normally is over the $50 mark. So I'm gonna give you a couple of suggestions that may make you feel good to stay in the EDC world. So one of the ones I've been testing out lately is the Wayfinder. This is the Flux. And this thing normally does come in, let's check out the pricing right now, $35, let's call it 36 bucks. This thing can hold about 9 cards. It does have like this little compression at the very top, which keeps your cards from falling out whenever the cards are loaded in here. So even if it's only 1 card or if it's completely loaded, the cards just don't slip out. Super minimalistic. I mean, it lays very, very flat. It has the very middle, you can fold up some money if you want to, or you can put coins in there or air tag or whatever. And I like this, how minimalistic it is. You can put this in your front pocket, your back pocket. It does give you those vibes. It gets you away from the old school Velcro wallet or whatever. And you're not spending reform money. I got reform wallets. Shout out to y'all for sending your wallets. This feels just like a reform, doesn't have the magnet, and it costs 30% of the price. I can easily recommend this. Now, the Pulse X1 is a super slept on wallet. This is a compression wallet. It's similar to like Ridge, Axwell, but it costs way less than that. This thing's normally between 25 and 30 bucks. You can access your cards in both directions. You literally just pull this apart to access your cards. You can also keep your money in the very back of this thing. So very capable wallet. It is made of aluminum. I think they make different versions of it overall, but it's very, very reasonably priced and affordable. I carried this for a while before I even knew that my favorite wallet existed. Now, my favorite wallet when it comes to this compression stuff, I initially reviewed it and I shit all over it. And if you can swing it, I would now 100% recommend the Axwell wallet. Currently, it's on sale for the President's Day, so it is about $54 for this wallet. My specific variant is about 70 bucks, but if you want to just get the aluminum version, and like I have it in different colors of aluminum. Now, this is a fantastic wallet because it does allow for you to do interchangeable changes of your actual cards. The compression on the actual wallet is better than the POS one. That's why I like it. It feels way more secure, like my cards are never gonna go anywhere. But I love the fact that you can just take these plates off, change them out, switch them out with whatever you want to. If you want the regular aluminum version, just for the sale that's going on now, it's like 54 bucks. So I've suggested a couple of items to you so far, and we are well below 150 bucks for everything that I've suggested even. And then we got to round it all out with the way to carry your keys. I'm assuming you got keys in your life. Now, I know everybody and their mom loves the Orbit key, but what I don't like about the Orbit key is you need a tool to access it and to change it out. I bring you their competitor, the Jibbin. I like the Jibbin key organizer for two reasons above the Orbit key. You can actually change out the items in the Jibbin without actually needing a nickel or a slotted screwdriver or whatever. You just simply pull this apart. Once this is pulled apart, you just unscrew this and you add keys, and you can hold up to, I think it goes from 3 to 12 keys pretty easily. You add the keys that you want to add to this. Once this is screwed back on, you line it up with that square part there and you push it in, and it just stays together. Fantastic. With the Orbit key, you actually need a quarter, slotted screwdriver, whatever. It's not a big hassle, but you know, you need something to take this apart to get to it. I like the clean lines of the Jibbin. You don't have to worry about the way that looks on the outside. So I'm a big fan of that. Number two, the actual part of the very bottom here where you can connect this to a larger key fob, because you can't fit like a big key fob or anything like that. The Jibbin has an additional piece of metal which protects the leather from any of those keys that may be rubbing against the metal and eventually wearing that away. The Orbit key doesn't have that. Now, I think different new versions of the Orbit key have it. These are both the leather versions of the respective versions that they make. These both come in about $43. The Jibbin is normally cheaper. I think it's cheaper right now. And to have that little extra protection, if you're going to be having this for years, always having a set of keys rub it right here, that's going to wear away the leather. Not having that here on the Orbit key is something that's important to me. Another thing that I noticed is that if you only have 2 or 3 keys in the Orbit key, they jiggle around a lot. So for me personally, I just like the Jibbin more. I actually think it feels more premium. I don't know which grain of leather the actual Orbit key is using. This is top grain, and I can just feel the difference in quality. So if you want something that has a little bit more utility, something that can also be a multi-tool, then I would go with KeyBar's system. There's a lot of competitors and things that look similar to the KeyBar, like KeySmart and et cetera, but there's nothing like the OG KeyBar made in the USA. I have an upgraded version that is made of coated titanium with copper inserts. This thing's a pricey board, but if you get the regular, just nice, easily managed version, this thing comes in normally sub $40. Sometimes it can creep up to $50 depending on what version that you get. Here's some cons about this. Yes, you need tools to get inside this thing, but that's okay with that. That gives me time to sit down, think about exactly how I want to place my keys in here, what spacers and washers I'm going to use to have this down. It comes with a fantastic pocket clip. So now if you don't have your key fob connected, which I don't have mine connected, you can put this directly in your pocket and let it hang out. And I love the fact that you can really cinch this down. You have the option of those washers to make this basically make no noise whatsoever. This feels really good. And it includes different accessories like box cutters, Phillips flathead screwdrivers, et cetera, that you can put into this and make this a functional multi-tool overall. Jibbin and Orbit key does kind of the same thing, but this feels way more heavy duty. This feels like I could actually take this and fix something if I went to someone else's house or around my own house. With the Jibbin and the Orbit key, those additional accessories that you buy, the leather and the metal mixed together doesn't feel like you can really fix anything. Maybe you can tighten a light switch cover that's coming out on the wall, but if you need to do some actual work, these keys feel like you can get that work done. My suggestion would be, before you dive deep into the EDC game, before you dive and decide you're going to get pouches and carabiners and even watches, tech, glasses, rings, all sorts of stuff, get these basic items. You don't have to get these. Go watch other videos, whatever, but just get the basic set of items, not including hanks and pens and notebooks. Don't buy Knipex pliers. Like, just, I want you to really focus on the basics and to figure out if you're going to like this everyday carry stuff. If you're trying to make this a hobby, or you're just trying to improve what you carry every day. So if you were to get everything as mentioned at this exact moment, at least the pricing as it stands right now, check the links in the description, 190 bucks, everything out the door. And I think that's reasonable to have a full capable EDC kit for $190. If you hate it, then you know what things that you can replace and upgrade. Maybe that Gerber dime is a nice starter, but you eventually want to get a Leatherman Curl, Wave, or Skeletal, or something by Victorinox or an SAK. Maybe that knife was a nice starter, but you want a better grade of steel. You want something that's tougher so that you can hit it with a log, or it has a better edge retention so you don't have to sharpen it as often, or it has a better corrosion resistance so you can take it out with you hunting or fishing and it won't rust. You will learn those things by buying a simple kit like this. Maybe you buy the wallet and you figure out that you hate aluminum or you hate metal wallets. You acquire and you figure out that you don't like this type of wallet that's not made of leather, and you decide you want to make those upgrades. Or you get the flashlight and realize that your phone light was more than capable, and why am I carrying a flashlight? Whatever the case may be, buying something with this reasonable pricing kind of just makes sense. Comment down below, what would you add, delete? What do you recommend when it comes to buying stuff for a beginning price point? I would love to know what your comments down below. If this is your first time stopping by, hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you a part of the battalion. If this is not your first time stopping by, well, thank you once again for stopping by, watching me run my grade. For everyone else, we'll speak soon.